What do you want for dinner?
Dinner?
Yeah.
Lasagna?
Okay. Are we rolling? Hey humans, this is my husband Marquis.
This is my wife, Neelam.
And this is Love and War. First of all, thank you all for such kind words for our 13-year anniversary. Our anniversary actually landed on a Monday, so we celebrated it during the weekend, and it was really cool. But Monday we actually had to go to another podcast, which was the day of our anniversary, and Marquis got us a babysitter. Shout out to my sister-in-law, Ayana. And so we had the night. I'm like, well, okay, we can have a cool vibe. And I ended up ruining the night crying about my mom. I realized that I don't look at her. Like, when I take care of her, I do it in a very I'm not here way. Mm-hmm. So that day I looked at her and I just felt like so sad, thinking about like the mom that she was, the person that she was, how amazing she was. And I just felt really sad, and I appreciate you for dealing with me killing the vibe and being so sweet to me and everything you said. And I just love you for that, and sorry about that at the same time. But I know you understand.
Yeah. I think, and I know a lot of your situation is kind of avoiding her situation.
Yeah.
So that's why I've always had to do more.
Yeah.
So there's always that time where you actually look at something and you're like, what's going on?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I just, everyone's afforded that moment.
Right. Right. And I kind of appreciate it because I do want to treat her as if I owe the mom that she was. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like I forgot about that. It's almost, it is true. It's like I lost that woman. Now I have this woman. So it's just weird,
Yeah. Well, you're honoring her by, you've gone above and beyond.
You have.
Yeah, but I'm an extension of you in this circumstance situation.
I know, but this is not even your mom in the way you are with her.
Well, there's no you without her, right? So that's so I think, but it doesn't mean that it'll be easy, and it doesn't mean that, you won't, have your moments to feel it. You just have odd times. You be solid all year, and then
it's like, am I done? Anyways, I do want to say, please, please, please find gratitude in whatever stage you are in, even if it's a bad stage, because I do remember, when my mom was walking with a cane, and it was the worst thing ever. Like, literally hell on earth. Oh my God, my mom's on a cane. Then she got on a walker, and it was like, oh no, this is the most horrible thing ever. Mm-hmm. Then she needed to periodically use the wheelchair. Mm-hmm. Then she got locked into the power wheelchair. And she still doesn't even know that, people with multiple sclerosis, they be bedridden. So it could still get worse.
Right.
And right now, her walking with a cane is a dream. Like, that would be like the best thing ever. Mm-hmm. And it's just funny how it was considered the worst thing. So I just want you guys to remember that it can always get worse, and to just really find gratitude in whatever stage you're in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's facts. I stick with that. I think I watched that decline happen, and I think that's why at a certain point I'm like, okay, we got to jump in. And it's crazy because when she was going down the depressing state she was in, she couldn't see what she was having with the cane. Like, she couldn't recognize it at all. She just kept seeing the loss. Come find out, she was gone by the diagnosis. There's another thing too. I think it should be against the law to diagnose people with something heavy without immediately having therapy set up that day. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, why would that not be a part of a situation? Hi, you have cancer.
And to be honest,
and so you have cancer, and all right, go home. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Or at least have some family that's there. But what happens is, like with her, people go into shock. Like, and she came back. We didn't even know.
But you shouldn't even be allowed to say, like, you will never walk again. You will never this. You are going to, like, start saying what their life is going to be. Because, first of all, you don't know that. You know what I'm saying? Because we know people who are totally fine.
Right.
That one story of the two women who told they had 3 months to live. One lived 8 more years. The other one died in 2 months because she was just shattered by the news. And it's like, you can't say to someone what their life is going to be. That should be illegal.
Because for a lot of people, some people still here because they're looking forward to tomorrow. It's kind of like, wow, today's tough, but you're holding on that tomorrow will get better.
Right.
So then someone comes and just tells you what tomorrow is. You know,
Yeah.
there's no real good tomorrow for you. And then for some people, it takes away their hopes. And I know you have to be strong. You have to be this. You have to be. But everybody isn't front line.
Yeah.
And what I realize in life is that we can't treat everybody like they're the front line. There's other people who are, you know, there's levels to this. And people only take so much. So you should almost treat everyone like this will be the worst news of their life. Why isn't there a coping processing mechanism set up for right when it happens? You know what I mean? Because with her, she lost her will.
Yeah.
And the MS, you know, that's a fighting war. You can fight that war, but it's the loss of will, it's the depression, it's the lack of belief. It just takes away from all spark that could be there, and that's what makes her situation so hard.
Yes, and my mom, she was an ex-gymnast.
Right.
You know, not just, you know, regular. She was an athlete. So I'd be like, Mom, do a backflip for my friends. And she would literally go run, do a round off, back tuck, you know. So
and she has that all or nothing kind of thing. It's like, if I'm a gymnast, I'm a gymnast.
Right.
If I'm, you know, I can't walk, then I kind of, you know, I give up.
Yeah.
You know, and it's kind of like, you know, it's almost like it's like I have to be a gymnast.
Right.
Or I have to be nothing.
Right.
And that's a hard mindset to deal with, because there has to be an in between. You know what I'm saying? We can't always just backflip. Let's just limp for a moment, you know, and work our way towards a regular walk. But, you know, it's a war. And I just think that they damn near helped seal a coffin by just diagnosing and then just telling her, you're not this, you know, and it just.
And then in particular, being a black woman, you know, that medical industry is hard, you know. And that was, you know, who knows how he thought, but like that was like an old white man just telling a young black woman, your life is over. And I just feel like, I don't know, let me shut up. Who knows? Anyways, it made me also think about what you said when we went to Africa. Well, we went to Africa 2 times. One was for the cataract surgeries in Kenya, but another time that I really loved as well was the Gambia with the orphanages, and how you were saying how, first of all, the Gambia is known as the Smiling Coast, and man, that is such an appropriate title because everyone is just so happy and like in conditions that we probably might consider not to be optimum. But I just realized that like how out here in America particularly, there's so many distractions, there's so much anxiety, there's so much grief, comparison, and to be honest, like we need supplements, we need therapy because our food is banned in 30 countries. There's just levels to the amount of unnecessary stress that we have out here in a situation that most people would think is luxury.
Well, you know, here we're constantly chasing the expectation and then constantly being reminded that you have, you know, last week's software. You know how things up, you know, like right now, you know, if you know, there's 2G, 3G, 5G, but we know when the iPhone first dropped, it was just a groundbreaking phone.
Right.
That phone today would depress us because it's software's behind, you know what I'm saying? It's so far behind. Whereas in the 90s, you'd be the kingpin. You get what I'm saying? So what we're finding out is that the more we get and the more that keeps coming to us, the more we see in front of us. You know what I mean? So we never get to appreciate what we have right here. We never get to appreciate where we're at. You have a flat screen in your house. I remember when the big TV with the big back, like it was like whoever had that big one, they were like the rich uncle. Yeah. So now it's like you're average, you know what I'm saying, with it, but it just be happy with it. What do you need?
Question,
you know what I mean?
Does that many distractions and choices, how does that affect a marriage in a negative way, in your opinion?
Well, I think that when you think about back in the days, people went to school, they left from school, went to college or whatever, finished all that stuff. If they got married, they was in their world. They didn't have like a way to really see what everyone's doing or everyone's acting like they're doing. You know what I mean? There wasn't no. Think about this. The idea of a 10-year high school reunion is like obsolete today.
Right.
Because you already know what everyone's doing.
Right.
We used to go to your
like
10-year.
We don't need to do that.
Why do we need that? So when you think about with marriage, you'll be in your world. And if you was good or if you was suffering, at least you didn't have on, oh, their marriage is doing so great, or it looks like it is, or this and
Right.
that and the other. I need to keep up with this, or we're fighting back, or whatever it is. There's some positive stuff out there, but for the most part, the distractions and so much stuff that's just out there. Men have never been this close to so many women. You could DM to anywhere.
Right.
This many women have never been, this many husbands have never been this accessible. So where it's just like, oh, I could just DM or show something or just show attention. Sometimes it's not a DM. People know how to just get on radars. So now there's you're like a person walking through a river, and there's just a bunch of crocodiles waiting to look for some weakness, or waiting to create it. So I think that, with all the distractions, marriages is a lot of war today.
Right.
And then also how usually stuff that's going wrong or that's bad, that's always highlighted. That's what's at the forefront. So you would almost think everything is so bad because there's never... the people who are really living that life and taking care of the children and stuff like that, they're not online like trying to sell it to you. They're just living
They're
in
just
living in
doing their
and
thing.
flourishing and doing what
Yeah.
they do. So there's a war on it. It's a lot of distractions today.
Yeah, I totally agree. As far as the distractions and stuff like that, as a man, what do you feel like you do to guard against your lower desires? Like, what practices or things that you do to just kind of keep yourself tight?
The kind of people you keep around, I think I'm not gonna say that's first, but I'm gonna say that's just big.
Right.
Just being around like-minded individuals, and that's men and women. You know what I mean? Recognizing when you're just in something that's just, it's just weird. It's weird how things are okay and then it's inappropriate. You get what I'm saying? And it's
Yeah.
just like, and just having a radar that recognizes that, because you might be in a circumstance or a situation where for you, one step led to another.
Right.
One step led to another, and then we ended up in this circumstance.
Right.
Whereas for other people, they might be already at D. You know what I mean?
Right.
You're like, you didn't recognize it was walking you through A, B, C, D. So one thing, I treat everyone like they got motive. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
and the prettier you are, the more motive you have. You didn't even do anything to me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you didn't even do it, but immediately it's just
I'm
like,
not
yeah,
playing.
you the enemy. You know what I mean? Because
Right.
I know what this is. And then, I think in war terms, when it comes to life, and I always see, in my mind, there's a lot of people who could view you as an enemy. You know what I'm saying? And don't like, or me as an enemy. They just don't, there's something happy happening over here, and I gotta show that's not real. You get what I'm saying? So
Right.
I live with that understanding that that's the mindset of people today. We all talk about where's the faithful men, where's the faithful women, but everyone's participating in trying to, create weakness inside of these institutions. So for me, I take social media serious. It's like what I see online is crazy. So when I walk out, I expect crazy.
Right.
And so therefore it doesn't keep me being so disarmed.
Right.
Just walking around thinking, oh, this is just, that. I'm like fully aware. I'm like, okay, I see this. I
Yeah.
see what's going on here. And oftentimes probably judging people that ain't even trying to do anything.
Right.
But it keeps you safe, keeps you out of,
Right, because you're always on alert and you're always
because
on your
nature is
post.
still nature,
Absolutely.
And that's what I think people don't recognize. They think that, oh, you're a man and you're married, so
Right.
your nature, like your penis sees
only her.
don't recognize just anything. And I think
Right.
that there's a animalistic part of us, a nature that it can be. It could still be a hunter, or it could still, be weird out there, especially in an over-sexualized world that is highlighting sex.
Right.
You as a man, you can walk around and not be tripping off of nothing, but everything is just kind of like, look.
Yeah.
You're just like, damn, what is this? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's honestly, it's such a consistent advertisement. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right.
But that lets you know you in war. They're against your family. They're against your children.
That's
They're
right.
against your institution. They're against your empire. They're against your own morality, your own
don't want
ethics.
this.
So so when
Yeah.
you go out, it's like, okay, this is war, and that's why I like to do a lot together.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Just like it just makes it easier.
And I noticed that you will do like certain practices that kind of like bring out discipline.
Oh,
Like how
fasting.
you
A
are
lot of
with
that, yeah.
fasting, how you are with sugar fast. Like you're not having any sweets. You're denying yourself something that is so natural, so that when it comes to something unnatural, you're like on it.
Less is more. More is less. They should add that in there. More is less, though. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? If you ain't never smoked, you know what I'm saying, your whole life, and you smoke weed for the first time, because you haven't, it's like, oh my God, when it really hits you.
Right.
Everybody has that time when they're like, I didn't get high, and then it hits.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Then you just smoke all the time, and you're just like, what happened? Where'd it
Yeah.
go? The more you do it, the
Yeah.
less there is. Well, that's how our appetites are. That's how much sex is for us. That's what porn has become for us, where it's like there's so much at us that we just need more to get less of a response or less
Yeah.
happiness, where
Yeah.
with things like fasting, it helps pull everything back down.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? When you don't eat sugar, like just go off of sugar for some time and just
Yeah.
don't do it, all of a sudden, man, grapes are different. You know, grapes
that.
couldn't hit when you eating
Say
grape
that.
Starburst.
Grapes
Do they have
be
grape
like,
Starburst? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, or Skittles.
Yeah.
Grapes are different. All these
Yeah.
things are different when
Yeah.
when you're drinking nothing but water. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So what happens is, and then that's the same thing with the intimacy in marriage. The same
Right.
thing with your relationship. If
Yeah.
you're just kind of pulled out of a lot of stuff and just everything, just don't have sex with your wife. You know,
Yeah,
don't do it for a month.
we will do
Yeah.
like sex fast every now and then. You know, I noticed that we'll do it when we have something coming up, like, oh, we're gonna go on this trip. Let's not have sex this whole week. So when we get there, it's like, woo, you know,
Right.
that even brings out more. You
Yeah,
know?
because less is more.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I love about times like Ramadan. You know,
Absolutely.
where it's just, you know, all of a sudden you're just wishing for a drop of water.
Right.
You know what I mean? Whereas when you can have all of that stuff, you don't even appreciate it.
Right.
So it's like if you can fast and put gratitude with the fast while you work on perspective for what's next for your life, I mean, you could really, you know, start running faster than a lot of people because you won't have so many distractions out there. It gives you clarity.
Right, right. That was so well said. Who comes first, your kids or your spouse?
Spouse.
Right. I feel like the better the relationship a husband and wife does have, the better it is for the children. You always say that thing about I'd rather have one sane parent than two crazy ones.
I know, because you know it's such against divorce and it's wrong
Right.
to, but
your experience.
right, you know, when you have two parents driving each other crazy, you know, I do feel like I'd rather one sane parent than two that drive each other crazy. So
Right.
when you know,
But naturally, of course, we all know.
you always, you know what the optimum
The
is.
optimum
There's
is.
nothing going to get passed around, you know, the optimum circumstance and setup.
Right.
However, we are in a world where just, you know, you get with somebody, you're like, man, they crazy. And it's like, Ma, I need you. Don't let him keep driving you crazy. Like, you know, because we don't have no one here.
Do you want more children?
Do I want more children?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you do. I do too. It's like I loved pregnancy. Birth was just like,
Right.
geez Louise, you know? But I do want, and it's funny, like, a fine Kai like in a state where they're like, I want a brother, I want a sister, and it's like, wow, you guys would be dope little helpers, and it would be cool, but
Yeah. I'm not against it. I'm not mad at it. I like children, so.
speaking of that, like, my expectations as a parent completely changed because, of course, our son Afai, who is 10 years old, he's on the spectrum for autism, and it's just funny. I remember like being like, I'm gonna be this type of mom, and I'm gonna do this and this and this, and I remember like seeing mothers and judging them. I'll never forget. I was at Trader Joe's, and there was this woman. Her son was on the ground screaming, going crazy, and she was just kind of like, oh, trying to calm him down. I was like, what the heck? I remember just being like, if you don't snatch him up, you know what I'm saying? And then
Right.
it was funny when my son had a meltdown and realizing how you are when you're trying to calm them. And it's like, it isn't beat them. You know what I'm saying? It's like, this is different. And I'm like, I literally thought of that woman and being like, man, I judged her. And that child probably was on the spectrum, or who knows what it was, but regardless, it's not my business, you know. And
Right.
it was just funny just to like,
That's what I was thinking.
exactly. And how much that just taught me about, first of all, don't judge anybody, be kind. You don't know what anyone's going to do, and also don't have expectations because you have no idea what life's going to be.
Yes, I think having a son on the spectrum does that for you, helps you gives you perspective on a lot of things that you see. When you see adults doing something irrational sometimes, and sometimes I feel like I can even pinpoint the spectrum on them, where I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy, you know, cops don't beat him. He don't, you know what I'm saying? Like he it's not that kind of thing. Some
Right.
people have a hard time processing emotion or even their communication. But I do feel like having having a son on the spectrum helps you just building compassion,
Right.
and not look at everybody if their child's acting out and do this. You know, we're so far from natural foods. We're so far from the natural vitamins and nutrients that's supposed to go into our body. We're,
Right.
you know, damn near becoming a mutated version of a human. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And
Stuff that is in our food out
Yeah.
here is just unreal.
and then the psychological part. Have we ever, you know, in the history of modern society, had a generation of people who would have so much information just coming in, just so much with no real setup on how to process this, on how to move on this, on how to be? It's just everything's constantly coming. You know what I mean? While our bodies don't have the nutrients and the stuff to really to back it up, while family structures are getting beat down and broken down at the
Right.
same time,
Right.
while education has been education, always been a
Right.
miseducation for us. You get what I'm
Right.
saying? So it's
Right.
almost like where is the chance? You get what I'm saying? And that's why in your life, if you don't personally say, hey, this is everything I feel like the revolution should do as far as everybody, I'm gonna do it in my personal life.
Right.
If I think all of education should be like this, I'm gonna make sure my children are, you know, at a school that's like this, or I'm gonna create it, or I'm going to learn it and teach the part that I gotta teach. But I think I jumped off of the off
No,
of what you were saying.
that's real though. What do you feel like are the pros and cons to working together?
To working together.
I'll go first.
Okay.
Because I feel like we're always together because we work together. And I remember you telling me that one morning when I got up and I was like, okay, so today, da, 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 and you were like, hey, good morning. And I was just like, that is so real. Like, I got lost. You know, like, we're so wrapped up in what's our schedule today that it's like, hello, like, say hello to your husband. What are you doing? You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And then also knowing when to clock out. As entrepreneurs, we're always kind of like on the clock or always like working on something, but it's like, no, you need to clock out and then go back to from being partners or whatever to being husband and wife. And then I know it's weird for you where I'm like, I want to spend time with each other. And you're like, what? We're always together, but it's like, you know, that certain different type of quality time.
Right, right. Yeah, so I think there's a lot of pros and cons to working together. I think some of the cons are when you get to, you know, when you're leaving from your spouse all the time and stuff, sometimes that creates a freshness, you know what I mean? To miss somebody, to see them again, you know, from that
I
standpoint.
miss you when you're in the bathroom.
Right, you miss me all the time, but I'm different. But, and then then also, if you get annoyed with each other in a personal life,
Yeah.
it's so hard to do business from there.
Oh my God.
You get what I'm saying? Or it might be the business that makes you annoyed in the personal. You get what I'm saying? Where you're just like, God, you was annoying today. Just like how at work that could have been. But at work you leave. So there's
Yeah.
always that. So then when you leave, you're kind of like, you know.
I'm sorry, I have to say that story of when me and you shot that video for Halal Lovin'.
Okay.
And we were arguing at the
pier.
it was so hilarious because it's very important to not look online and just think that everything is just so perfect based off what people post. But me and Marquis literally had to like do like very loving, cute stuff. So cute. It was really bomb. Like we did really well.
Right.
But literally when they were shooting, we'd be like all lovey. And then once they say cut, we were like, annoying. Like, it was just so funny, like how it came out, how like it looked amazing, but it's like we were fighting right there in this shot, you know.
Right.
And it's just like, don't believe people's highlights, you know.
And then you know me, I have made a rule pretty much kind of after that.
What?
The thing is, I don't want to shoot now. I don't ever want to be fake.
Absolutely.
Yeah, one thing I like about that footage we did was it is the constant tone of our relationship.
Right.
But I almost feel like sometimes it's just kind of like, you know me, I'll stop and take you somewhere, whether it's to a bathroom
Yeah,
or not, and I'll
and then
have
reset.
a conversation. Yeah, it's
That's
like,
so
look,
true.
because
Yeah.
I just don't. I know we're not fake, but
Yeah.
but it's so fake out here that I'm not even stepping close into the lines. I don't even want to teach my children how to be actors in that regard.
Right.
They see us fight and then be on camera, you know what I'm saying, it's not the other. So I would rather them see us go, hey, you know what, let's shake hands and, you know, respect on this, whatever,
Right.
and then go get back to work or whatever.
We're good at that.
Yeah, because of me. Go ahead.
What? I'm good.
You're good, but I had to clarify a lot to make that a priority. Because you know I choose personal over business. And you know I shut everything down if it doesn't work the personal.
Right.
You know, that's my rule, that it's like, okay, if we're working together, we're doing this and we're working. Because we've had a great marriage. Everything has been solid. I'm
Yeah.
not going to let no damn podcast, you know what I'm saying, or
Yeah.
something, like, you know what I'm saying? So for me, I'll shut the world out. Like, it's like, okay, well, you know what?
We're not gonna do this
This
anymore.
is never worth it for me.
Yeah.
All this other stuff is attainable. You can achieve, but holding on to real fulfillment,
Yeah.
holding on to real youth.
Yeah.
You don't realize how much you're taking away from your own youth, stressing all the time, crying
Yeah.
about everything, noticing everything that's bad. Everything is so what it is, and you're young.
Yeah.
And I know when you're young, it's emotional, you're this, that, the other, but just wake up and at least be like, wow, I'm young today. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I haven't put my bones through what a 70-year-old has to put their bones through.
Right.
So for me, it's like, you know, with business, with anything that we're doing, with anything that's going on, I don't want, I don't know. I don't want to be fake. I don't want to, you know, be anything. And sometimes that's hard to do with business
Yeah.
because also business does something different for you guys too.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
you know?
so true.
There's reasons why the top 9% earners out of our women are the least to get married, you
Right.
know? And it's not even just their fault. Sometimes our ego, we can't deal with certain things.
Right.
But, you know, with y'all, you're moving and you're in it's a masculine work world out here.
It is.
So there's a certain level of masculinity y'all have to tap
Yeah.
into. And, for me, I'm here. So I'm always like.
There's not a lot of softness in being a boss.
Right.
So it's just like, it is what it is.
Right.
So, yeah. I agree.
And so, with that, I still like having a soft wife.
Yeah.
But I also still like having somebody who's, capable of bossing up when they got it.
Period.
That was never a prerequisite for me.
Right.
Having a wife with a solid tone, and I don't even know if it's soft is the word.
Yeah.
But just with a tone of peace. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like it's just especially if you have seen war in your own household before.
Right.
It's like I want to do
you've
my part
experienced.
to not contribute to that. My
Yeah.
my nature's fire. You know what I'm saying? Like
I really think that we should do an episode on domestic violence, especially as a child who, you witnessed a lot of that. We should do that in the future. Not right now, though. But question.
yes.
Do you feel like Black people in general, male and female, are over-sexualized? And if the answer is yes, which it is, how do you feel like that affects us as a culture? And then like even in regards to marriage and just life.
Right. Well, when you think about our whole history here, and I know when you bring up Black history, it's just like, oh, it's cringy because who wants to talk about the reality that Black people in this country lived under certain circumstances longer than they didn't live in them.
Oh,
You get what I'm saying?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Black people lived under certain circumstances longer than they didn't live in them. So, as a matter of fact, we would have to go from where we're at right now. We would have to go another 100 to 200 years forward to even meet how long we did it. That's how long that was. That's how
Wow.
deeply rooted that was.
That's perspective.
That's perspective. And just how the 13 colonies on the East is what was set, is what the setup was for white people. Slavery in the South is our history here.
Come on.
And to recognize that there's two different histories in this country and then all that happened in between, because you do
Right.
have the Native Americans, you have the Mexicans who were here, and there's wars that happened there. However, but for us, being over-sexualized is our history in this country.
Come on.
For centuries, it was legal to breed us.
Right.
You understand what I mean?
Right.
Like as full property with
And I don't
real
think people
money.
really realize what a breeding, what that was.
That's your 11-year-old daughter with a grown man who you see every day who decides to go and rape her in front of you every day, and everyone has to walk around like it's normal.
Yeah.
And if you have a problem or say something, you get sold or they can get sold.
Yeah.
So being over-sexualized is our roots in this country. That's how we have lived forever. And so now when you see when we came out of slavery, how hard we went on the family, how strong we was on the family, and how we became the ones who were marrying each other more than anybody else in the country, all the way up until the 60s when, integration and all that stuff kind of came. And then statistic for statistic, we dropped on everything. And it wasn't that integration was bad. I'm not, but however, if you set us down for hundreds of years like this and you
Right.
set yourself up like this, then you integrate like that.
Come on.
You understand? So that's why we found ourselves in the hoods everywhere.
Right.
Because literally integration was a hypocritical trick to trick us out of ownership, to trick us out of family, to
Right.
trick us out of justice.
Right.
To be honest. And so a part of that trick is the family. A part of is what the family was for us. You'll do anything for your family. You'll change your community. You'll build anything. But when you are leading with just sex, when you're leading with just a sexualized idea of yourself, and you're just men running around putting everything, women open their legs to everything. All the women are blaming the baby daddies that they let into their body. All the men are blaming the baby mamas that they're having sex with raw. You get what I'm saying? There's a certain level where it's degrading us, like in our mind, and in who we are in our ethics. And who's falling at the bottom of this is just a bunch of children who are just here. The men are distracted, been distracted for a minute. The women are now distracted.
Right.
And the children are the last line that's left there.
Absolutely.
And the attack has been on the family.
Right.
It has consistently been on the family. And so our women are the ones pushed up to twerk it out and show everybody, this, that, and the other, to push this idea. And it's not that white women ain't doing anything, that other people are doing it.
Right.
But with our history coming from the South, and their history coming from the 13 colonies, there's different type of structure. There's different kind of bars we got to hold ourselves to, because we're coming from such a disadvantage. We're coming from far back. And you talk Black Lives Matter, but when it comes to the penis, it don't. When it comes to hoeing, it don't. Because in that spectrum, all we care about is me, satisfying my thirst, satisfying your thirst.
Right.
But we don't think ahead from that. Everything has been over-sexualized for us, and the attack that is happening on the family. And this is what's another crazy thing about Black people.
What?
We're also conscious. We're also smart in many ways.
Right.
So we'll use consciousness to try to disguise our how promiscuous we are. We'll try to take African ancestry.
Right.
We'll try to take the fact that, oh, look at this, we were kind of twerking in Jamaica or this and that, and try to make it why we're doing ratchet stuff.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? We'll try to take Islam and make that be the polygamous thing, be the explanation on why we're hoeing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Not why we're holding to certain kind of guidelines and cultures and
Absolutely.
rules. So that's another thing that's dangerous about us as a culture, is because when we can connect it to consciousness, and that's why you found that most of the most nasty niggas or nasty brothers be those of us who are conscious. We end up being the ones who, you know what I'm saying, will just, and that because being in the game with some of these brothers who are out here, it'd be these other ones who are like the trap guys who be respectful. And then it'd be the conscious ones who think they can kind of ease in as if I don't see you.
Right.
So anyways, and it's like that. And there's no pass for nobody in that regard.
Right.
So I just feel like, if the family is going to be important, then putting a cap on all the over-sexualized aspects of how we're being used to to destroy and tear down pretty much morality.
Our morality. I think it was interesting watching Jason Lee ask Carisha from City Girls, will your daughter be a city girl? And how she just was like, no,
right,
I was raised a different way. I'm not raising her like that. So it's like, are you saying that you were raised in a way that wasn't optimal?
Right.
Are you seeing that the way you were raised, why wouldn't you, is there something negative about the way that you were raised that you would not do that to your daughter? Right. And then it's interesting also the double standard of how we raise our daughters and how we raise our sons, because, her son was just caught throwing ones at strippers, and she's like, he's 10.
Right.
So it's just funny how it's like, no, my beautiful daughter, we got to do this, but my son, we're at the age of 10, if you're already throwing ones on women, I can't imagine what you would be as a man, right. And you're innocent. Right. That's a fact. You're innocent, but it's just like the way you are raised, again, determines who you are, what you become in life. And it's just interesting how we, will raise our daughters, want them to be chaste and virtuous, but we don't want to have chaste and virtuous sons. And what's sacred, it's sacred what's in between your legs as a woman, but it's sacred what's between your legs too. And if you just throwing it around everywhere,
Well, it only makes sense that if you're going to, and shout outs to her for, striving to produce quality daughters. Right. If you're going to produce quality daughters, then why not try to produce sons that would be qualifiable for that daughter? Wow. You know what I'm saying? For your own daughter. It's Absolutely. Like, am I raising the kind of son that I want my daughter to be with, right. that I want her to meet. Right. And that's what we don't realize with the toxicity of our relationships, is that we go through stuff, and no matter who you was with, if they hurt you, if they did whatever they did to you, they're not winning. If you can move on, if you can try to enhance the quality of your life and not be stuck under that. But they win when you let them sow into you that now you're out doing it as far as your brand and how we do it in music. And if you're pushing that through to your children, don't you get that that's the goal?
Right.
The goal is to take all this toxicity and give it to the children.
Right.
So if you decide
And
that
little kids are singing Pound Town, and we're like, oh, it's no big deal, or calm down, or whatever, or the parents should have this, or as if it's not like something being really designedly pushed for our kids.
Right.
Like this type of, you know, rap is conditioning your daughters and sons. Music is, like you say, incantations. And if over and over again I'm hearing you're a bitch, hoe, a slut, a trick, that penetrates into the cells. Like this is like bigger than what we think it is.
Right. And that's what I think with what she was saying in regards to her daughter. It's about, what good, your daughter's good. So what about us?
Right.
And then in response, because we're not running the industry, in response, she'll go,
Right.
you wouldn't even know me if I was the kind of person who was being good for your daughter.
That's true.
Because that's not what, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
First of all, it's not.
That's not what's being pushed, and that's not what we support.
Right. I was going to say it goes both ways. We have people who don't look like us, who are not from us,
Right.
who are making all this money off of our culture,
Yeah.
of just pushing it and, tearing things down. And then you got us who have already have just a traumatic history. Just
Yeah.
just everything about us has been through pain.
Right.
Right. And so now we're here today. It's like a person who's kind of drunk already. What you want to do? You want to keep drinking. And so we're like the swine, you know what I'm saying? Where we're looking for the filth. We're constantly, and now we're getting to a point where we're feeling it. Our relationships, because when do you get out of it now? Now that we have social media and you can still do this at 40, you can still do this at 50 and still do this at 60. It's like, wow, this toxic lifestyle ain't a young man's game no more.
Yeah, not to get religious and stuff like that, but this is a fact. Satan's job was to make sin fair seeming.
Right.
And righteousness looks weird and sus in Satan's world.
Right.
And you have to decide what side you're on.
Yeah. And it won't be easy. You have to forgive yourself. That's the first, when you find yourself through process, you're like, man, all right, what am I going to do now? How am I going to move now? But if you don't think there's some level of resistance you got to have in your personal life today,
Right.
then, you ain't paying attention to science. Because now everything on, the things they're pushing in politics, they don't even give a damn about science no more.
At
You know
all.
what I'm saying? So this ain't even a God conversation, which it is.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But when it boils down to it, it's like, they're denying science nowadays with a lot of the stuff that they're pushing, a lot of things that they're saying. If that's not enough for you to say, oh, you can't just teach my children what you want.
Right.
Or I'm not just going to run along with what you want or what you feel.
Right.
You don't think they'll target your children? Look at how bad the diet of McDonald's is. When I was a child, the box they gave, the
Yeah.
food, the thing that came in a Happy
Whole
Meal, the toy
experience.
stuff, nothing in my mind made me imagine that they were harming us.
Absolutely
They
not.
were selling to me.
Absolutely.
That's enough for you to know that if the way McDonald's move, if they'll sell to your child, no matter how
Right.
bad the quality, no matter how terrible, no matter the obesity rates that we're dealing with out here, that lets you know you got to be able to move off your own mindset. Even if it looks like it's for children, it's not anymore.
Absolutely.
Like you got to watch everything because, we're in a world where Satan has definitely,
Absolutely.
Satan's having a field day,
That's right. All right. We are now going to move over into the and. This is the couple edition loan turn from Skim Deep. This is a really fun game that we always do at the end. It was our second time, but it'll always happen. If you would like to buy this game, which you should because it's really bomb, the link is in the description. And by the way, you two try to play us and the links weren't clickable. But if you copy it, if that happens again, which I hope it doesn't, but if it does, copy the link and put it into like a URL and it'll come up. And also it's in my Instagram Linktree bio if you want. But okay, we're going to do 3 questions.
Okay.
All right. The first one is, knowing what you know now, what advice would you give me regarding being your partner?
Knowing what I know now, what advice would I give you regarding being my partner?
Yes.
Say, oh, you want him, right? You're right. There's no advice to give. You made the right
Shut
decision.
up. Okay, I'll go first.
All right.
I would say, don't mind her, little attitudes or overwhelmness that happens from time to time. She freaking loves you and means no harm. And I'm sure you know that, but I would say that to you. What about you?
I don't know. I
I'd
don't.
be like, I think you would say, let him walk around in circles and talk.
But you do.
I know, but I think you would say, like, it just eases him. Just so
Right.
you know. Like,
Yeah.
he, you know.
I would say you're gonna be a rapper. I'm just, that's just
Marquise, can you answer the question?
um, because that was so far fetched. Yeah, I
Just
don't.
what advice would you give regarding him being my partner?
Right. I would just. I would probably tell you all them home birthing books you read to throw that away. We ain't doing that shit. Shit's gonna change when we get inside the room.
Hate it. Hate it.
Just saying.
Okay,
Okay.
next question. What do I do that still turns you on?
So a lot of stuff. Damn. Them outfits.
Oh, okay, cool. I would say just the way you talk, that talk. And you know what's funny? I saw this thing online. It's so funny what women get turned on by, and it's like when you're playing with the kids, you take them to the park. When you say, "Hey, let's order out tonight," and I'm like, whoa, like it's just funny. It's just dumb, but it's always like just something really sweet that will make me be like, "You could get it." So
You guys are funny.
yeah. All right, last question. What do you think is the next thing I should do to bring me more happiness?
You should do to bring you more happiness. I would say I would want you to approach your mental health more. I don't say like I do, but I get what I
How do you approach your mental health?
every morning I get up. And then I got sessions set up right now for actual therapy, like,
Right.
real stuff.
Okay.
So, and that's the thing about me because I'm still like this. So to you, you're like, Marquis, you'll still be off the hint, but
Well, it's just funny because
you don't recognize how contained I am.
Right.
Like you don't know me, like you know what I mean. Like that's the
I know
it's
you.
like and I know you do, but
Yeah.
the things I let go in life today, the things I let people get away with, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
just stuff where I'm just like,
Yeah. You rise above emotion.
yeah. So but it's a consistent like checkup, like
Right.
and it's not
So
like
you're saying that your advice would be for me to do.
I think the reason why your mother hit you the other night the way it did, the way that you felt about it, is you don't check on yourself. You don't really like address it dead on.
Right.
You don't go and whether it's sitting down with a therapist or sitting with someone to go.
Yeah.
Let me just get this off.
That's true.
And what I like about us is we're not into negative talk. So we're not sitting here complaining about
Right.
everything that's
We
bad.
don't- that's not our
right. I don't
nature.
believe in this time of this where everyone wants to find everything bad all the time.
Yeah.
But there's a time and there's a place where you got to go and you got to say, let me just get all the bad stuff off and just
Yeah.
really, be there in that regard.
Yeah.
And I think it's even better when it's almost daily. Not the therapy part. You do your therapy, you do that, and you put that
Right.
stuff there. But just when you get up, you're just like, oh, yesterday I didn't like that this happened or whatever. But here's a way to think about it.
Right.
Here's my gratitude. I'm
Well,
about
I do
to,
the
you know.
gratitude, like, that's
right. I know you're on that lately or whatever. So yeah.
Okay. I would say my answer for you would be vacation and therapy. That's what I was gonna say.
Oh, more
just
therapy.
For the pat.
So I'm just crazy.
More therapy. Yeah. Like, just
Yeah.
I feel like that'd be great for us.
Therapy for us, or therapy for me.
You and us.
What's wrong with me?
And vacation. You a crazy dude. But you're perfect. But
What do you mean I'm crazy? That's
But yeah, guys, make sure you guys subscribe. We got more to come, and we have some guests, and we got some guests in the future too that we're really excited about. But just stay locked in. Oh, also, you guys can like literally comment like questions or topics that you guys want us to hit on. But we're gonna keep being tapped in. But yeah, thanks for tuning in so much. This is my husband Marquise.
That's my wife, Neelam.
And this is Love and War.